video is going to provide the most important information, the first thing that I want all parents and students to know. There are so many myths when it comes to the whole college admissions process, and the students, by and large, are basically fed a picture of how the college admissions process works that is not in line with reality. So the message that was told to me, even when I was in high school, and is still being told to the students today, take the toughest possible classes that you can take. Make sure that you're also doing extracurriculars. Make sure that you're a leader in the extracurriculars, volunteering and all of that. Also, it would be great if you had some type of vocational work, meaning like if you want to be in medicine, that you have experience in that area. Make sure that you develop great relationships with your teachers, and the list goes on and on and on. Make sure you play a sport or you have a fine art, right? And it's huge. It's this gigantic list, right? Oftentimes the SAT and the ACT aren't really mentioned in that conversation, right? And here's the just harsh realities of the college admissions process. In short, there's more kids applying to college than ever before. Okay, literally more kids applying to college than ever before. So take a look at this real quick, okay? More students are applying each year, with 10.2 million in 2017, which was up from 4.9 million in 2002. Like, this is a huge increase, right? And there's three factors that come into play with that, right? So the first one is that the job market now has changed drastically. There were so many opportunities available at that point where you didn't need a degree. And now that's changed. There's fewer and fewer opportunities when you don't have a degree. The second part is that the colleges now, because there are so many students applying, what happens? They have the opportunity to be more selective, right? And then the third piece of this, right, is that it's become so much easier to apply. Now there are Common Apps. So as long as the student has the means, they really fill out one application and they click, 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 and send it to multiple universities, right? What happens when there are so many applicants? The colleges have to find a quick way to choose which applicants they're going to look at more deeply, okay? Admissions departments are very small. So the only way that they can go through all these applications very quickly in a very short period of time, and remember, these admissions people spend much of the year going and trying to recruit students. So they have a short time frame to try to figure out who they want to accept and who they want to reject. So the idea that there's like a round table that looks at every inch of every piece of every word of every activity that a student does, it's totally a myth. It does not exist. In fact, one of the most commonly used applications for the college admissions process allows students to put 150 characters, that's basically a tweet, for each of the activities that they've completed in high school. So that activity they spent 3 years doing, 150 characters. Some of them allow you to put a couple sentences. That's it. Most of the schools are not taking a very deep dive into every piece of every application. And bottom line is, they don't even leave room for it in the application. So, how does a small number of people figure out how to sift through thousands of applications very quickly? Well, the quickest way for many of these colleges, most of them I would say, is to take a look at two metrics, GPA and test scores. If the student meets those requirements, then they'll look deeper. Take a look at this, the SAT. SAT testing is up. Okay, it's the highest it's ever been. There are 2.2 million students every year taking the SAT. In the entire history of the test, it's never been that much, right? So as much as you hear that colleges are moving away from the SAT and so many colleges are test optional, the whole test optional thing is very misleading. There's almost no universities in the country that have said we won't look at the SAT. One of these colleges, their SAT scores went up after making themselves test optional. And what you'll see is that that's also part of a ranking game that the colleges play. So take a look at the average SAT scores at these schools. And I'm just going to show you some colleges. You can literally Google any college you want in the country, right? And type in whatever school it is, average SAT score, and it'll pop up. And you'll be able to find out the average SAT score. And just keep in mind, how does a school keep their averages at these levels? The only way they can keep their averages at a certain number, basic math, is they can only admit students that are at that number, right? So take a look at this. University of California, average SAT score of 1400. University of Michigan, 1430. NYU, right around 1400. UF is interesting. For anybody that's in Florida or interested in UF reports a 1360. I've literally had students accepted to Berkeley who weren't accepted to UF. Like, that's how crazy it's gotten at UF in terms of their college admissions process. And it's partly because they're now ranked, I think, the number 7 public university in the country, right? So things have changed drastically. UT Austin is right in the middle 1300s, okay? So they do make up a huge part of the way that a student is evaluated simply because of the sheer numbers, right? There's no way when you're rejecting that many students and you're getting so many applications with such a small number of people that you could do this with any other method than by looking at the numbers, the metrics, the GPA, the test scores. Those are the two main things they're going to look at many, many universities. And then some of them will look deeper at the rest of the application, but many of them won't look much deeper. I'm thrilled about the community that we're creating. Have a great week, and I really am here for you. Everybody, thank you for the comments, the likes. That's how I know to keep on creating these videos for you all.